empty nest, to personal best. Let's fly, Mom, fly.
Welcome to Fly Mum Fly, where we honour the resilience of mothers in the empty nest phase. Today, we're joined by Vanessa Cardenas. From navigating a devastating betrayal to empowering others in their healing journey, Vanessa embodies resilience and transformation. A trusted advisor, certified coach, and meditation instructor, Vanessa provides a unique blend of professional knowledge and personal experience. She guides individuals healing from betrayal, especially those navigating the empty nest transition, an often challenging and critical period. Vanessa, hello.
Hello. Thank you so much, Bobby. So appreciate the opportunity to share all this wisdom with your audience, because this is a transition. When we go from being parents, and not to say that we're not parents anymore, but when we go from allowing them to leave, and I say allow because some of us hold on for dear life as long as we possibly can. But as they move on, our relationships evolve as well. And they change, not only with our suddenly adult children, but also with our spouse. And that's kind of where I come into play a lot, is that during that transitional stage, there comes up certain things.
Yeah.
First off, if there was a betrayal early on within the relationship and both agreed to stay together for the sake of the children, well, wait a second. Now that circumstances has changed because the children have moved out. And suddenly both partners look at each other and either A, they decide to stay together because a duration of time has happened and they have healed and they're feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Or the betrayal rears its ugly head and suddenly it's front and center all over again, even if it was a decade ago, because it never got healed properly.
I get that.
Yeah,
there is
that's
a lot of there's a lot to unpack here today, and it's a little bit triggering, only in the sense that I've been through it. And my now husband is divorced, and I was divorced. And it's interesting because our experience was quite different. He took his ex-wife out to dinner. They sat down, they had a conversation, they talked things through, and then they realized that they weren't meant to be with each other anymore. It's always going to be hard and traumatic and devastating. But boy, in my instance, where the shock comes from betrayal, it's not sitting you down and letting you know where my feelings are, and I respect you enough to have this conversation before I move on. Boy, that is a truly life-defining moment. And I would like to hear about your experience. I was going to say I would love to hear about it. I want to hear about it because I know you've done so much with that personal pain. That's why I'm looking forward to hearing about your experience. Obviously, you never want anyone to go through this. However, you have so blossomed into someone sitting here in front of me. And when we were off air, I was asking you about your look because it's so cool and it's so powerful. You just come across as a powerful woman. And I really would love to dive into your personal story, if I may, just to begin with, so you can let listeners know that, yeah, I'm not just coaching and assisting people going through this. I have lived this, and you're getting the real deal.
Yes, very, very much so. And it's an interesting story. I have an epic love story. I met my husband in middle school.
Right.
And he noticed me first, type of thing. We were in, and I know it's cliche, we were in band class together and he noticed me. I didn't notice him at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. But he noticed me and he pursued me and we started dating like, teenagers do, but we fell madly, deeply, fully in love. And he was it. He was my everything. And then he screwed up, as boys do at that age. And we broke up because I was going to be firm and fierce and, type of thing. And he pursued me for 8 more years. And it was very, very interesting because when I finally relented and said, okay, we can go out on a date, 9 weeks later, we were married, much to the horror of our families. They
Holy
were like,
moly.
"What?" Because when you know, you know.
Yeah.
And we didn't want the big wedding and all that other kind of nonsense. We just wanted to be together. We were
Mhm.
so grateful to find each other again that we just wanted to be together. And we fell into marriage. Yeah, there were issues. Money was a big issue, type of thing. And life, we were young. We were 21 and 22,
Yeah.
but we jumped in. We just jumped in both feet. And that's how we have kind of operated our whole lives. We've always done that. So,
Mhm.
we did everything. I became the C-suite executive that I always wanted to be, and he became the stay-at-home dad when it wasn't fashionable to do so. And
Right.
he raised two children,
Yes.
and we had the house and the cars and everything else. And one day he and I are walking through Central Park because I'm out of New York, and he sits me down on a bench and he goes, "Vanessa, I need to tell you something." And I turned to look at him because I was people watching, and he says, three words, "Never forget it. I've met someone."
Oh God.
What? What? My whole world shattered in a complete instant. I completely fell apart. Completely. I was a zombie for weeks.
Mm.
I just couldn't comprehend what was going on. And I was in a state of shock. I was numb. I grabbed every single resource that I could get my hands on. Anybody that could talk to me, any therapist, coach, anybody that could talk to me to help me through this, I gravitated to. I latched on to them. I was like, "Please help me, fix me, save me." And
Fix you.
yeah,
Oh,
fix,
yikes. Yeah.
fix me, you
Can I
know.
ask, did you go to these professionals with the aim of trying to win him back, for want of a better term? Did you want that marriage to continue, or was this purely just for yourself so you could cope in this shocking situation?
Everything.
Right.
Everything. I had so many questions. There were so many questions. But the thing that I remember most is that my husband and I, because my husband was committed to making it work, his comment, "I've met someone," was a cry for help. Like, "You
Oh,
need to pay attention to me. I'm starting to lose it." And I attracted another woman who is into me, and it felt really good, suddenly
yeah.
somebody paying attention to me
Right.
in a way that is intoxicating. And it's the same intoxication that you and I had back in middle school and then back when we got back together, and it fades over time. Why?
Yeah.
Because we become management, household management. We handle our household, and where do the kids need to be, and where do
Sure.
and everything else.
Yeah.
And life became complacent and common. And I don't want to say that we lost the spark, but to him we lost the spark. And I
Hmm.
didn't realize that, and I didn't recognize that. So I recall very strongly, we were in marriage counseling because I insisted on it.
Yeah.
And I remember screaming at our therapist, saying, "There has to be a reason I'm going through this. There has to be a reason that I am going through this. You can explain it to me logically. You can explain it to me emotionally, but they're not connecting. I'm
Mm.
disconnected. I need to know the reason why I'm going through this."
Right.
And I begged and I pleaded. And I remember every single night, just, "Please, can I sleep? Please, if I could stop suffering for one
Mm.
less day, I promise that I will help somebody else." And I made that commitment to myself and to any higher power.
Yeah.
"Please just make me stop suffering." And it clicked. And I realized, wait a second, I am absorbing so much information because that's my background. I have a degree in industrial psychology, and I've been a C-suite executive for over 20 years. And I
Wow.
mentor and coach other people. And I've done so
Okay.
professionally, in their professional career for my employees.
Hmm.
And I've also done it personally as they were going through grief and loss and divorce and things of that nature. I didn't realize that in my own betrayal, I was starting to take in that information in order to share it with someone else. Because when we learn things, when we're doing things, we do them passively. Think of
Mm-hmm.
it like when you're watching television. You're watching television on the couch, watching a program, you get up to go to the bathroom, you get up to go get a snack, and on your way back to the living room, you've forgotten what you've actually been watching because you've been
Sure.
watching it passively. And I
It's
was like, no,
also
no,
like when you drive somewhere and you think, hang on, I don't have conscious recollection of the last 10 minutes.
right,
We're
right.
just on that autopilot.
Exactly. Very much so. And I realized I did not want to be on autopilot. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to take in this information as holistically as I could to heal myself. But because I made a promise to myself and to a higher power that if I could heal, I would share it with others. And that became my mission. I started to really embrace all of the greats because I wanted to take it in so that I could heal myself and then subsequently help someone else heal. And I've had such the honor and privilege of doing that for hundreds of clients. It fills my heart in such a way that nothing else I've ever done in my career has. And I'm so grateful. And I say that to people, I'm grateful for the betrayal. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, it was the necessary shove that I needed to step into myself
Mm-hmm.
because I love who I am. I am so grateful. And you commented on my hair. And for the listeners that are listening and not seeing me, before the betrayal, I had hair halfway down my back. It was salt and pepper, and I had bangs. And that was my hairstyle for decades.
Yeah.
With the first betrayal, the I've met someone, I chopped my hair off. I stood in my bathroom mirror. I grabbed a hold of my
Oh,
hair
you did
and
it
I took
yourself?
a pair of scissors. I did it myself. I
Wow.
cut my hair off. Why? Because I could be in control of it. And it was
Mm-hmm.
something that my husband loved. He loved my hair. And I was like, no. Grabbed a hold of it into a ponytail and sliced it right off. That was drastic.
Yeah.
Then the next discovery of something, I then shaved off one side of it. That was drastic. Then I shaved off the other side with another discovery. Then I dyed it all one color, getting rid of the gray, which, by the way, was hard earned. And now if you see me on screen, you see that the gray is starting to come back in because
Yes.
it's earned. And then I put in the pink. Yes, I have a pink streak in my hair. I am a C-suite executive that walks into board meetings and I have pink hair.
I think
So
you look fabulous. My
thank you.
question is, you did all that work embracing techniques to heal yourself and you worked through that. What happened with your marriage? Did you stay together for a time or did it end? What was happening after you were able to do that inner work on yourself?
When I did that inner work on myself, and keep in mind that my husband did the work as well, he
Right.
was willing to do the work necessary to help heal our relationship as well, because that wasn't the only discovery that came out within the situation as we started to explore what exactly is going on, what would prompt you to say that, what has happened in the past that maybe is starting to come up and so forth. So we worked both very, very hard individually as well as collectively, and we are still married.
Well done. I was going to say, for him to do so much work, put so much effort into you, and also let you know that he has been in contact, I guess, I don't know the details, with another woman, but that cry for help, and then to step up and say that, and then to join you in repairing your relationship, not relying just on himself to do it, not relying just on you to do it, but collaboratively you did it together. Oh, that gives me such hope. That gives me such hope. So well done. And now you're helping other people.
Correct, correct. And it's interesting because when we were going through the betrayal, no one knew about it. My colleagues didn't know about it. The only people that knew were my children. That was it.
Right.
No family, no friends, because I didn't want to let the toothpaste out of the tube. because once you do so, there's a lot of judgment
There
from
is.
everybody else. And
And
I
side
didn't need,
taking.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I didn't need to hear that judgment. Now, based on what I do, everybody knows about it. So people are approaching me because I've written 2 books
Yeah.
already, and they'll approach me and be like, really? This actually happened? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
now you're the walking, talking advertisement for what you do. It's like, yeah, this happened to me. I'll share it with you. And we're still happily married. Wow.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
amazing.
Yeah. And I love when other people introduce me. For example, I went to a gallery showing one time with my husband, and the
Yeah.
woman whose gallery it was knew me and knew my story. And
Yes.
she runs up to me, and we're standing next to a couple, and she's like, oh, Vanessa, oh my gosh, you're here. That's great. And she turns to the other couple and she's like, do you know what she does? She helps people who have been betrayed because
Yes.
she was betrayed. Meanwhile, my husband's standing right next to me and stuff. So they look at me. They then
Oh,
look at my husband.
no.
They look back at me. They look at my husband again, and
Yeah.
he nods and he goes, yeah, I fucked up. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
did.
God.
But look at her.
Yes.
Look at her. Look what
Yeah.
she's doing.
And how many children do you have?
We have 2.
Okay. And what have they learned throughout this experience? You said you did share it with them. They saw you betrayed, they saw you in shock, they saw you in repair mode, and then they saw the outcome. So, how has it affected them? How old are they now? And how has it have? Sorry, I'll say that again. How has it affected their approach to relationships?
Great question. Great question. Need to step back just one step.
Mm-hmm.
When the betrayal happened, the first betrayal, I immediately took off my wedding bands and I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done. There's no repair. And my husband just was like, oh, no. We need to do something about this. I'm not going to just allow this to dissolve and stuff. But we went home and we shared it with my children because I was insistent that he say what he did.
Right.
And that he tells that honesty. It's always been about honesty within the family. My daughter was 16 at the time, and my son was 17 at the time.
Right.
They handled it very differently. My son ghosted his father, my husband. 6 months, he looked right through him as if he did not exist.
Wow. The
And
poor
that was
boy.
really tough on my husband. My daughter, on the other hand, was very forgiving and wanted just to keep the peace in the house. I mean, she was very much an anchor for me, which in hindsight, now that I know so much,
Yeah.
was a little too much for her at her age to go through. How it affects their relationships is a very positive one because now they see things as they are, not how they wish them to be.
Oh, I
And
like
that's a
that.
very different approach to things. They don't have rose-colored glasses on,
Right.
but they also understand the power of forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter also understands the power of owning your story. Step into it. Even if you are embarrassed, even if you are shameful, even if you feel guilt, you need to step into that story because your story is powerful. Why? It becomes the survival guide for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else hears your truth, what you did, even if you're embarrassed by it. They know either A, to do the exact same thing or to do the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
But they wouldn't know that if you don't share your story.
That's so true. So the people who come to see you, are they couples or individuals?
It's usually individuals. Couples is a little different. I usually recommend for couples to go into couples counseling
Yeah.
or therapy because there is a difference, and I tend to stay in my lane. There's a difference between coaching and therapy.
Yeah.
Therapy is very diagnostic, and they also dig through your past.
Yeah.
They look for patterns and things of that nature, and I completely respect that.
Okay.
My role and the way I see my role is we dabble, we touch on the past just for context.
Yes.
But we're working on here and now and the future. And that's my role. Yes, how you feel throughout this. Yeah, it's okay not to be okay. I know exactly how that feels. I know how it feels to have that range of emotions that flip on a dime instantaneously completely understand that. But then there are strategies and techniques that you can use to settle yourself down. I still use them. I am so many years removed, but I can still get a trigger. There can still be something that pops.
Yes.
And I'll be like, ooh, I need to
So
take a moment.
what are the signs that let you know that someone shouldn't be saving their marriage?
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very loaded question.
In your
Uh,
opinion.
yeah, no, it's a good question, but it's a very loaded question. Every single relationship is very unique.
Yeah.
And even what is shared with me might not necessarily be the whole truth. And a
Yes.
lot of times things get held back,
Mm-hmm.
embarrassed, shameful,
Yeah.
unsure. I help clients through a series of questions, a series of exercises to really think about their marriage, regardless of what they disclose to me, because they
Mm-hmm.
know in their heart and their head what the truth is. So we go through a series of questions to make them think about
Okay.
what's going on. For example, one very, very powerful question is, if you were leaving your relationship, what would you lovingly leave behind?
Right.
And that becomes a very powerful question of,
Mm.
what do I want to leave? Because you are going to leave something behind.
Yeah.
And are you ready to leave that behind? And are you actually seeing your relationship exactly for what it is? Have you taken off those rose-colored glasses? Do you see potential for change? And that's one that always comes up with a lot of clients is, oh, he has the potential to change.
Mm-hmm.
No. It's not about potential to change. Does he have the willingness to change? There's a difference between potential and willingness.
Does one sex cheat more than the other, or
Mm,
is that a
that
question that can't be answered?
it's a tough question to answer. There is a wonderful website. Name escapes me,
Yeah.
but I will get that over to you. They
Thank
have
you.
been doing studies for over a decade, and they allow for anonymous completion of a survey that
Yeah.
talks about cheating. And it's
Right.
very interesting because over the course of 10 years, they see that men and women used to be more men than
Mm-hmm.
women, but now it's getting a little bit more even. Why? There's a lot of circumstances to it. There's an age demographic as well in
Mm-hmm.
terms of who cheats more often than not. There's a lot of different variables to it. The most interesting statistic that I found in this study was that men tend to cheat with somebody that he doesn't know or that his wife doesn't know.
Right.
Usually only 20% of the time that cheating is involved, both parties know the other person.
Right.
Okay. That's when men cheat.
Mm-hmm.
When women cheat, it's more than twice. It's over 40% that she cheats with somebody that both the husband and the wife know.
That's
Now
interesting.
that's very interesting because that means for men, you need to pay attention to the men you have around you because
Mm.
they're watching your wife. And if they pay attention to your wife, and one of the reasons that she cheats, because there's a variety of reasons that a woman cheats, but
Mm.
one of them is lack of intimacy, lack of being seen or heard.
The
And
female. Okay.
your colleague, somebody that you know pays
Yeah.
attention to your wife, and she's missed that. Yeah.
And what about for men? What is the common reason you come across? Is it, see, I thought being appreciated and heard and acknowledged would have been the men's reason. Is it similar, but maybe has a
It's a
different
little
take?
different. It's a
Yeah.
little different. It's more ego. It's like,
Right.
oh, I can get that,
I
type of
see.
thing.
I see.
You think of it like, it's funny that men see things very differently than women.
Yeah.
Men will go to the, barber shop and there'll be a female, cutting hair, and she runs her fingers through his hair,
Mm-hmm.
and she leans over, and suddenly she has her cleavage in his face,
Right.
and everything else. And she's like, "Oh, but you have such thick, lustrous hair," and this and that. And she's complimenting him and stuff. And he thinks he's got game,
Right.
Meanwhile, she's doing it all for the tip.
Yeah.
Come on, women see that. Yeah, you're laying it on a little thick there. But for men, oh my God,
Yeah.
they love that.
They take
And
it
then,
personally.
yes, absolutely. Where a lot of women don't even pick up that a man's actually flirting with them, type of thing. But men just seem to be like, woo, their little antennas go up and they're like, ooh, type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Do you see a lot of empty nest men or women who perhaps have strayed because they don't know each other in this phase of life? Because we're all vastly different people than when before we had kids. I mean, we certainly change. Do you see a lot of this phase of life?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's very prevalent at this stage because you're not tethered to your children anymore.
Right.
And suddenly you feel that freedom of like, oh, I don't have to drive the kids to soccer practice and this and that. And suddenly the whole world opens up. And for some, they feel that there's less time in front of them than behind them.
Right.
And they suddenly feel that pressure. And if there is a lack of communication is the key to everything. Everything in life involves being able to use your words.
Yeah.
We tell it to children all the time. Use your words, use your words. Well, we need to say that to each other. Use your words. Talk to me. I can't read your mind. Even though we've been married for 25 years, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're thinking. And you don't want me thinking for you. Because if I think for you, I'm going to guess it wrong. And I'm going to then ruminate it in my own head, what I think you're thinking. It's easier just to tell me what you're thinking and we go from there.
And it's funny, yesterday I was interviewing a woman who works with parents on raising boys and men. And she was talking about the different ways we need to communicate with the different sexes, because we can't just assume that our partner is hearing us and understanding us just because we're speaking to them. And I found that fascinating. And I was talking to my husband about that last night, and he was going, okay, yes, that is direct, but it sounds a little bit ill-mannered or a little bit off. So how about you say it this way? And we were having this discussion about the right way or a useful way to be direct, for me to be direct with him, because normally I'll just tell a story before I get to my point. So I think he falls asleep halfway through my question or statement. But yeah, look, it's interesting. And I noticed on your website you have a free quick course where people can gain clarity and understanding on their current situation.
Correct. It's right at the discovery point. Certain tips that you need to think about, again, because right at the moment of discovery, you're just lost. You just are. And that's fine. It's to be expected. But you need some guidance of, okay, what are the next steps? Because a lot of people come to me 3, 4, 5 days. Should I stay or should I go? Wait a second. Wait. You're 5 days removed from just finding out. Unless your safety is a concern.
Yeah.
Are you really going to make a informed decision in the state that you feel that you're in? No, you can't do that. You can't. You have to allow yourself to process what is going on.
How challenging is it to have trust in a relationship once betrayal has been present? And I'm talking from my own experience. I wasn't sat down on a park bench and told that there was an issue. I actually uncovered it myself. I uncovered it myself twice because I went back for more. I was too scared to move on at the time. It was pretty bad, but my core need for safety, security, and comfort was right there, and I was like, no, better the devil you know. Let's stay there. Yeah, but this trust thing, I personally found it hard. However, there wasn't, as in your case, there wasn't someone willing to do the work and just really all in on making things better. So I'm assuming that that's where the whole idea of trust can be brought back into the relationship.
Yes, but first you need to trust yourself. Regardless of the
Mm.
outcome of the relationship, you have to trust yourself first,
Well,
because you do not trust yourself. Your reality has completely pivoted, and you're
yeah,
like, wait a second. And now you start thinking of everything else. And in your case, you started going further and further back,
yeah,
trying to find clues and finding more material.
yes,
You know,
yes.
did it ease your mind finding more?
Oh, it was horrible. It
Yeah.
was horrible. Yeah.
Right. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes we do need to let things lie. You know, some advocate for knowing everything, every
Mm.
little nuance and everything else. I mean, how much hurt are we supposed to take on? How many cuts are we supposed to endure? I
Yeah.
mean, betrayal is betrayal. You know, whether you have, for me, it was just one big kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yes, I had more discoveries, but it didn't diminish the first initial gut wrenching, stab to the heart.
Mm.
The other ones, yeah, they were flesh wounds, is what I called them. I had a lot of them, but they
Yeah.
were flesh wounds. It was the one right in the center of my chest. That was the one that I needed to work on. And more so than being able to trust him, I needed to trust myself. I
Mm.
needed to know that I could actually see what I was seeing, that I wasn't twisting it in some way, either negative or positive, that I was
Yeah.
actually seeing it for exactly what it was. So the question of trust, you have to trust yourself first. You
Yeah.
have to get to a point where you can trust yourself first before you can start trusting somebody else, brick by brick, layer by layer. It is an incremental process in order to trust somebody again. You just don't give that away all over again. No, it doesn't
No.
work that way. Not at
No.
all. It took you a while to be able to trust yourself. You're not going to
Yeah.
then suddenly turn around and be like, oh, yeah, I trust you. No, 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 no.
It's
No.
funny, it did take a while. It took about 3 years until I realized I had been attracting exactly the same person. And someone said to me, a coach back in Sydney said, "You are the problem." And
Mm.
when I had sessions with this coach, a guy, I would often
Mhm.
want to hug him or punch his lights out because he was
Exactly.
so honest. And
Mhm.
he said to me, "It's you, you're the problem." And I hated him once again. I was on the phone and I said, "What do you mean?" He said, find the key as to why you are attracting the same sort of person." And for probably about 3 weeks, I did a lot of automatic writing. I did a lot of soul searching. I realized that everything I didn't like about the people that I had attracted was something that I had a belief around even before they came into my existence. So I ditched all of that. And then I thought, hey, I actually like myself for the first time in my life. And I'm just going to, cruise. I'm with my girls. We're living in a coastal town. Life is great. And so for 6 months, I just really was settled. And then because I wasn't searching and because I was quite comfortable with myself, Frank came along and he was the best decision I've ever made. So there is hope, that's for
Mhm.
sure. And for anyone who is in this situation and they need to find that hope and that clarity and just a space where they can get away from their emotion and have someone who's going to ask them those questions that allow them to think about their future path. It's all on the website, is it? Is that
Yes, absolutely.
understandinge.com?
Hmm. Yes,
Fantastic. And
absolutely.
I would like to know, I'm hoping that you're all over social media so our listeners can connect with you as well.
Yes, absolutely. Very, very much so. Daily on Instagram, which I love. I
Yes,
love Instagram. Oh my
perfect.
goodness. Yeah, that was
Perfect.
a interesting revelation that I had, because I stayed off of social media. I mean, I followed it for my children, but other
Yeah,
than that, I didn't really pay much attention to it and
right.
stuff. But love Instagram. Oh, it's
Yeah,
a great outlet to be able to share wisdom day by day, because
Yeah.
when you're in the throes of betrayal, you can't take on a lot of information. Why?
No.
Because your past is flooding in, and it's
Hmm.
really hard to pay attention to everything. So I do
Yeah.
want to ask a question about Frank, if I could.
Oh, yes. I love questions. Yeah. Okay. Ask away.
Yes. And maybe you'll ask him this evening that
Yeah.
what attracted you to him was your confidence. 6 months, you built up your confidence that you were
Yeah.
just glowing, and he couldn't take his eyes off.
Well, it's funny because we had a blind date and he said that he walked in and he said within the first 5 seconds, he said, Frank, leave now or be prepared to never leave. And it's so dramatic. However, and it's interesting, Vanessa, that you say that because to see me then and to see and Frank and I talk about it, how after what we've been together nearly 12 years, how much more confident I am now because I'm with the right person who lifts me up and supports and questions and engages. It's such a different experience, but he's a real gem, and I know how lucky I am. Absolutely. He's just a great fit for me. So yeah, it's interesting. And it's funny because he has mentioned, and I do too, the more we go along, the more we love each other. And I think because we're seeing each other really grow in a place of non-judgment, that it's always been, you're it already. You can only get better. So
Mhm.
I do love that. Now, I've got one question for you before we go. If you
Mhm.
had one bit of advice for empty nest mothers, whether they are in this space of experiencing betrayal or just kind of lost with their partner and unsure about what to do, what would that bit of advice be?
Great question. Very simply,
Yeah.
give a compliment, accept a compliment.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. Yes. Give a compliment, even the slightest thing, but make sure the compliment is wrapped in how you feel. Oh, I feel so much like a princess when you open the door for me.
Right.
Mm.
What does that do when you say how you feel? How does that improve the communication?
Men love to know how women feel. They
Do
do.
they?
Yes, yes, they do, especially when it's good. Oh,
Right.
bubble bath feels so good against my skin. They want to know how you feel in a good way. And they want to know that they're responsible for
Oh, God,
making you
that's a
feel
great
that
tip.
way. So you give a compliment, you take a compliment. He compliments you, he says, "Oh, you look really good in this." This old thing? No, 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 don't do that. "Oh my God, I pulled this out of the closet. I haven't worn it in so long. Thank you so much for noticing."
Ooh,
It's
okay, God.
all in changing
Yeah,
how you communicate.
perfect. Vanessa, you've been an absolute gem. I have loved this conversation, and I want to
Okay.
thank you so much for coming on board today.
My honor, my complete honor, Bobby. And Frank, thank you so
Thank
much. You
you.
show great, great promise to your audience who experiences just life in general, and to see a strong and thriving relationship. You mentioned over 12 years now, right?
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
our 10th wedding anniversary in January.
Mm,
Mhm.
isn't
It's
that
good.
great? Oh,
It is.
feels so good.
It
So
does.
you are a wonderful example as well. And the work that you do here on this podcast,
Hmm.
recognizing this particular situation, because it is something that a lot of people don't talk about. They kind of come into it like, yay, we're
Oh,
free,
yeah. Yeah,
and
and
then
then
they
it gets,
suddenly look at each
yeah.
other and they realize, whoa.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We'll put all your links on the episode description. And otherwise, it's Friday. You have a brilliant weekend. And to all the listeners, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for connecting. And we'll touch base again soon.
From empty nest to personal best, let's fly, mom, fly.